Committee unveiled updated legislative text on crypto market structure last night. Now, the text builds on a previously released bipartisan discussion draft that would give the CFTC new authority to regulate digital assets. Now, in a statement, Senator Boozman acknowledged that differences remain on fundamental policy issues. You're not a member of this committee, but have been involved in bipartisan discussions working on crypto market structure legislation. And so I'm wondering what you think about this text, and do you think the bill stands a chance of advancing, given a deal with Democrats couldn't be reached?
I do. I'm actually very optimistic. Senators have been working on a bipartisan basis for the last 6 months pretty intensely. And we have two different bills. There's one in the Ag Committee, which has oversight and accountability over the CFTC. And the second piece of legislation is at the Banking Committee, which has oversight over the SEC and banking issues. And so because these types of digital assets have some characteristics of both commodities and securities, you need regulation under both those committees. So we have two different bills that are being written and worked on simultaneously that address different parts of this market structure. And I think both senators on the Banking and Ag Committee are working in a bipartisan way and in good faith.
Yeah, the markup on the Senate Agriculture Committee's crypto market structure bill is scheduled for Tuesday. The Senate Banking Committee's hearing on market structure was supposed to take place last week, but was postponed at the last minute following opposition from the crypto industry, including Coinbase. So what do you think happens to the Senate Agriculture Committee's hearing scheduled for next week? Do you think that's also at risk of getting postponed, especially since Senator Boozman acknowledged that differences remain on fundamental policy issues?
There's still areas that need to be worked on that need bipartisan resolutions, but I think they will move forward with their markup this week. The Ag Committee issued a draft late last night that people are now reading and reviewing, and hopefully the senators will work on a bipartisan basis to amend that draft, to make it stronger, to make it better, to continue their negotiations in the areas where there wasn't resolution. There was an earlier draft of the Ag Committee that had a lot of bipartisan compromises in it, and some of those compromises were left out. So my hope is that those senators can get back to the drawing board and try to re-include some of those compromises that I thought were very strong.
The Senate Banking Committee's version of crypto market structure legislation was contentious, with reports that Coinbase withdrawing support for the bill is what ultimately led the committee to postpone its anticipated markup hearing. Is there any validity to that? Since you're on the inside, I'm wondering if you have any insight into what ultimately led to the cancellation of that hearing.
I think it was simply canceled because there was more work to be done. And the senators who have been invested in this process have really worked on a good faith bipartisan basis continuously. And I think the reaction of one market stakeholder, one market participant, while those suggestions were important, the truth is that it just means there's more work that needs to be done. And there are a lot of open issues and there are a lot of things that need to be resolved. But I strongly believe that there are bipartisan solutions to resolve each of them. And I think that once those are resolved, they will schedule another markup. I think it just shows that there's still things that need to be ironed out. And I'm optimistic we can get to good bipartisan answers to those questions.
Yeah.